Quad Mum Podcast. I'm your host Elaine, and it is the co-host. So today we're going to have a little bit of a different show. The show is putting Mr. David Stewart in the hot seat. Are we ready to enter this? So to give me a bit of a change of pace today, you are in the hot seat, and I'm going to be firing questions at you. Hopefully not too daunting. I've given him a little bit of a prequel to these, so he knows what he's up for.
I know what they are.
I want you to be able to share your story about leading up to the competition you just completed there on the 25th of June, how it felt like walking on the stage, why you chose what you chose to wear, what happened as a result of the competition, and what your sights are set on going forward. So without further ado, unless Dave, you want to introduce yourself? I think people should know you by now.
Everybody know who I am. Natural bodybuilder, competitive natural bodybuilder. Just known for competing on stages for quite a few years. So far away.
Far away. The pressure's on. So on the 25th of June, it was a lovely Sunday. In fact, it wasn't that lovely. It was actually raining that day. You headed off down to Newton Abbey to the theatre mill. Yes, I know it was wet because my trousers were too long for me. Got wet. You headed down to theatre mill to compete in the BNBF. How would you say what the show is? Is it a regional show? Is it a BNBF Northern Finals? What's the actual title of the show you competed in?
It says BNBF Northern Ireland. It's supposed to be a regional qualifier for the British finals.
Okay. And can you tell our viewers and listeners what category you competed in, if you don't mind?
I competed in the Masters over 40s. And there was just me in it, unfortunately, but there was two other guys on over 50s and over 60s. So it was pretty plain sailing through. Unfortunately, I was hoping there was more there. I was wanting to get a good go on stage. Me personally, I brought the best package to date.
I love the fact that you're being completely honest. It's up to you whether you want to put that into the video. Because it was like, well, it's easy to win if you're the only person in the category. But it's not. You start like it's not easy to win if you're the only person in the category. The pressure's on you. The eyes are all on you.
It's everybody says you won it because you're only one in the category. Yes, I won it because I was the only one in the category, and it was. Unfortunately, I didn't want that to happen. I was hoping there was going to be people there. I was hoping there was going to be people from Scotland, England, Wales, down south, whoever came.
Yeah.
And just unfortunately on that day, it was just me on stage, which gave me the as people say, about the easy qualification. I don't like that there.
No,
I want to win it where I'm going to say I've went up against the best of the best and I've wiped them off the stage. But unfortunately that day, it was just, I think there was a couple more shows on around that time, and I was just the only one there. But
had a gift horse. I think the opportunity was there for you to clean up, and it was made somewhat more available to you. But it still doesn't mean that you still didn't have to put in the hard work and the effort to get to that shape.
No.
I don't know.
It gave me to be honest with you, it gives you like that there. If you're only one in the category, it sort of gives you an advantage to going into the overall at the end. Because you're the only one there, you don't really need to pump up much or sit and get ready and focus, where you can sort of relax a bit. I wouldn't say relax. It's still pumped up. I still had to have it in my head when I'm on stage. There's still people out there looking. So you want to give your best out to the audience as well. But it sort of means you weren't under pressure and you could sort of relax a bit more and get ready for the overall. You give a good battle for that. But it's just, sometimes that's just the way it goes.
I do have to say now, it was my ever first experience ever in one of those shows, and to be honest, Davey wasn't expecting me to come down because I had told him we white lie, and I'm not a big fan of lying, that I couldn't make it because I was busy with the kids, but I already shifted them off to my mum.
When you sent me the picture, I was like,
Davey's like, sweeped up, blah blah blah. I goes, I know. And it was brilliant. And I was looking for Mandy, but they were further down, and that's when I couldn't see them with the lights and stuff. But I have to say, when it came to the overall at the end, now I'm not saying the guy who won it wasn't in good shape, but I do think you would have gave him a run for the money if you had it placed differently in the line.
Yeah, you're not exactly what you said there. You're not the only one said that. I should have been moved up the line more.
Yeah.
There was quite a few people who approached me. Even Mandy said the same. Even that it wasn't going to win. That guy, he was just, as soon as he walked on stage, or as soon as I seen him backstage, I knew straight away that that's the overall guy. And as you can see me standing backstage, you'll see me talking to that fella, and they were sitting talking about. He says, "Who do you think he won?" I said, "Well, see the guy there in the middle. He's won it." He says, "How do you know?" I said, "He's just the perfect package. He's conditioned. He's size. He's just got everything." But I believe I should have been moved into the middle and placed maybe third or fourth
Yeah.
compared to the rest of them. But so you're not the only one who said that there.
No, because you were like, it's not hard to miss you in your bright pink
Yeah.
pants, and we'll get to those shortly. But you were right at the end,
Yeah.
kind of like almost off stage, not off stage, because you had the thing set up for
Yeah.
the trophies and stuff. But I was like, why is he at? Plus, you're one of the darkest. Like there was not there like a lot of people have the fake. Like we talked this before in one of the first shows that Davey puts on at least 8 to 10 layers of fake tan. Ridiculous.
But if
But
you look at the pictures, I
you're
wasn't
head
dark.
to toe. No, you're not that dark in
No.
the pictures in reality, and you'll see those on social media. But it stayed on you. Like
Yeah.
some people only did the fake tan up to here.
Yeah.
And I know that I was sweating a bit out because I was nervous for you, but also I'm in a stuffy environment, but I'm not having to like pose, and posing itself is a very
It's hard.
It's a skill.
But again, that's down to, you know, that's down to my knowledge, and it's also down to the knowledge that James has passed on down to me for, you know, working alongside him for the many years.
Yeah.
Of the way to prep and get yourself ready for it, you know, to stop, prevent all that there. Sometimes your body could hold too much water and you start sweating. That's the thing about the BNBF, because I've competed there that many times. I know the lighting and I know how hot it is there. So you sort of got to sort of figure it all out and have that sort of set out yourself too.
That's from experience.
Yeah.
I have to say that in the group that had more competitors in it, Steve and I were watching the lineup and we were trying to guess who was going to come with where place.
Yeah.
And I had a teeny little bit of knowledge because we had the chat with Kenny beforehand. And obviously Kenny's different, but he talked about size, and the bigger you are doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be a shoo-in to win. It comes down to muscle definition stuff. So we're watching the guys. The guys do a routine as such, whereby when you come out as a group, you have to do your double bicep poses. You have to do your best pose to the right,
quarter turns,
and stuff like that. There, I felt like I was back in GB. Right turn, and the first time around, I would have had to agree with Stephen, but then they came back and they did it again.
Yeah.
And I was like, I goes, your man here has got sacrifice. No, he hasn't. And I was like, he totally has, Stephen.
Yeah.
Like, look at him, look at his legs, look at his abs, look at his shoulders. They're all in proportion to his body. And I was like, really? And I was like, right. So we were quite shocked that I was actually right, but we were quite shocked that the guy who placed third versus second, and I was just
was that the junior? It wasn't juniors, was it?
No, it wasn't the juniors. It was the older category. So it was I think, was it the guy's dad was competing in the over 50s?
When you watch back on it, I don't know why or what's happened. Maybe again it could have been his time might have been too late and his muscles wasn't showing out. Again, that's where your knowledge comes into all that there.
It's just mad. Like you don't when you see someone aesthetically up the stage, you think that's them. But when they start doing the poses, then they start popping out the muscles. And obviously they've worked extremely hard on those poses and making sure that they look a certain way for a certain period of time. And as I said, the guy that I had put maybe third, I moved him up to second, because the second time around, I looked at him again and his posing, again, I'm not an expert in posing, was completely on point.
Yeah.
And I was like, is it any wonder? But again, they do shift you around on stage. So if anyone who hasn't been to a competition before, you're on stage and you come out in a certain pattern, but they ask you to then swap, whether it be one step left, go to the other end of the queue. So they look at you and hopefully...
Well, what they're doing when they're swapping you around, so say there's 5 competitors, 10 competitors, they'll go through the whole competitors, do your quarter turns and look at all your muscles and stuff. So then they'll say like competitor 1 swap with number 2. Yeah. And if you're in the center and you're the best looking person there, they'll take people and they'll put people either side of you to compare who's got the best muscles. So a guy to the left of you might have better back. Yeah. And then they'll say, right, swap them around. So what they're doing, they're swapping people around to try and get the perfect 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's
hard, like you think it's easy to be a judge, but I honestly, hats off to them. And we had our guest on last week, Swapnil, and he talked about how he's a lot shorter than the rest and how he felt like he was overlooked. And I do feel that it does come into play about where you're placed. And I mentioned that about the overall category. I do feel if you had moved up into the group a bit, you would have been in with a better shot. Definitely for the legs, anyway, in my opinion.
Yeah, but see, it's the lighting as well. So it's, you know, your lighting's too. And then at the end, also, if you're at the end, I think you gotta learn to angle yourself. Yeah. So they're all standing straight lines. If I was at the end, I'd maybe angle myself a bit more, so to try and pull the judges' eyes in. But again, at the end of the day, it's what they're looking out for. They're looking on me. It could maybe 3 people, 4 people in the front. That's what they're looking for, and they'll just angle them instead of giving everybody else a chance. But again, like the guy who won overall, like as soon as he came on, he just knew straight away.
Yeah, he was. I think he was from Scotland. So fair play to them, fair play to them. So in terms of the actual competition day, you're all ready. You got into this mindset where you're ready to kill it, ready to go out on stage and absolutely dominate, as you did. But in terms of the actual performance that you put on, I've mentioned that you come out, and again, I can only attest this because it's the first time I've actually seen it. You come out as a group, or if you weren't in a group, you do a routine.
You do, like, so the morning time, the way it works, it would be like a pre-judging, and then like there's an interval. Sometimes if it's a stacked show, the finals, you go, I think you register, say, 8 o'clock in the morning, and then you do your
Okay.
pre-judging at 10 o'clock. So they'll go through all the categories right through, and then your evening show's on at 4 o'clock. So you have a chance to go back to your hotel and chill out for a couple of hours. So the morning ones you pre-judging, you go on with your group of people, and they'll do your quarter turns, right, and then they'll swap people about and stuff like that. And they'll work you. That also gives you an opportunity with you people in the crowd, or if you have your coach in the crowd and they'll say, right, you look a bit flat, we need to put more carbs into you to make it more fuller and all. You have an opportunity to go back in the evening show to come back more fuller, or maybe top your tan up or whatever. So it's just to try and get a wee bit more points. It always by a point system. So it's like golf. The lower the points you have, the more you're going to win. The higher points you are, the further back you're going to
Why is
place.
that there? Surely if you want to win,
You're
it's
going
more
for the
points.
perfect body. Everything has to be perfect. So the lower the score, the better. The higher the score, the further field you're going to go down.
Oh. I wasn't under them. I didn't actually appreciate that you had registration pre prelim basically, and then you go back in the evening time. I just thought we all rocked up at 4 o'clock and I was
No,
just ready to go.
let's say the morning time I had to be down there. I can't remember what time. What time did the show start? 4 o'clock, no? So I was there 2 o'clock. So I had to hang about for a couple of hours, and just sort of try and sort of stay calm, relaxed, and stuff like that there. And then you go backstage. I think we went backstage at 3 o'clock. So backstage, that's where I'll just switch on because I'm away from everybody then, away from Annie, kids and stuff like that. There, my mind will just click in and say, right, you're going in here, you're going to destroy the place. You check people out, you look, see who your competition is. You'll have your wee list of who's there, and then you'll sit and you'll zone out. And my zone out will be, I just look at the guys and I just look and pick up points, weak points, areas and stuff. Say, okay, right, I need to pose like this and this and this, and hold this out, hold that out. You have to have that mentality where you're going to destroy them no matter what.
So you mentioned earlier on you've got a coach in the audience at those prelim parts of it, and that's not the term you used. And they can say like, you need to carb up, you need to get more hydrated, you need to re-tan. Does Mandy do that for you? Does she video you so you can see it and then critique yourself?
No, every other year I'd had James, so this was the first year I didn't have James due just the increase of price, financial things. It was just I couldn't afford him. Where he would have been like every hour on the hour, every half an hour. It was like I'd have got my took pictures of him, do my quarter turns, pose and what, and he'd have sent and he'd text back and said, right, add this in, take this out, don't do this, don't do that, add water or take this out. That's the whole idea of having somebody else's eye, like yourselves, and in the audience. If I was sitting doing like a rear double bicep or something, I wasn't squeezing my glutes, you would have shouted down, squeeze your glutes, you're not squeezing your glutes or whatever. That's an advantage of having people in the audience because they're going to see what you're not doing.
Yeah.
So that gives you the advantage. And especially having a coach, they're gonna shout at you too.
And the coaches now, I did hear some guy coach shout at one of the competitors in a different group, and our coaches allowed during the competition time, so between the 4 to 6 slot, are they allowed to coach you or just cheer you?
Oh, they can coach, yeah. They're not out backstage.
Yeah.
But they can coach you. You can do your core turns, whatever, and then go backstage and then look at your phone and they'll say, right, listen, get a rice cake with some salt and honey in it, and maybe just to boost it
But they
up or
can't
whatever.
coach from the audience, sure they can't.
They can. They can't really coach. They can shout, squeeze your biceps. You heard you guys saying, hold your glutes and stuff. And usually when I hear somebody saying that to another competitor, I'm saying to myself, right, okay, well, I'll squeeze mine a wee bit tighter.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that there. Where that's what your coach, that's what you're paying your coach for, or family members are there. If they see you're not doing something, they just shout down. They can do that there. Prejudging all that it's good to do that because you could do that.
And the judges don't mind. Does that not distract them from your knowledge?
No, they're there for one thing. Like they're telling you to squeeze your glutes and all, but you could maybe look crap. So they're judging, picking people out. Is that's not put them off. That's not.
Very interesting. So we've come across the moves. Obviously, you go out and you do your own individual stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have certain poses that they want to do. We watched a number of different competitors throughout the day, and not everyone had the same
Routine.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
How do you pick yours? Like, is yours strategically picked out, or is it picked out because why?
Your routine is it's your time to shine. So you're on that stage, you've picked your music, and you. Some people pick their music and do like a dance routine to stuff, but you're on a stage and you're showing them judges your best parts. You don't want to show them your weaknesses. You're showing them your strengths. So you're going to hit your best posings. So like the front double bicep or the lat spread, abs and quads and stuff like that. That's I put them into my routine specifically to show the judges that these are my strong points and never show my weak areas. And that's why I picked like a good music to it.
What music did you have this time?
The Lost Boys.
Ah.
Mine's always like a metal music. Was just get the blood going and stuff. Because I'm crap at stuff like that there, so I'll go on and if I have metal, I'll just do my strong points, most muscular stuff like that there, and just give the crowd something to cheer for.
Now you mentioned you do certain exercises to hide your weak points. Now I'm sure anyone who looks at you going, weak points? What weak points does he have? Are you happy to share those, or are you going to keep those quiet?
Oh,
'Cause you don't want the competition out there for the next one. No one.
Your weak points it could be anybody. It could be anything. It could be somebody might have a good old body but no abs. So you'll find that they do a routine and not show their abs. They'll show maybe their legs or their hamstrings or their triceps or chest or whatever. You're sort of trying to hide that away. It's even when you're doing your quarter turns and stuff like that. There, you're trying to bring everything out and hide everything. So somebody could have like a side chest, and you could maybe see maybe a wee bit of they're posing, they're not standing proud. There was one guy who was the over 50 guy. If you watched,
He was ripped out.
yeah, but if you watched him from straight from the table, the judges turned around and said his posing. If he'd learned how to pose, he'd have been good. Because he didn't learn how to pose, if there was other people in his category, he'd have lost that, even though he was ripped, because he didn't stand proud or whatever. Make himself look big.
What about the guy in the over 60s? He seemed to be just having the time of his life, being a bit of
Eddie.
Well, I don't know his name.
Eddie,
but,
he's brilliant. So he does that. He goes to the finals and all, and just rocks up.
Is there many people in the over 60s category?
Oh, why in the finals? Yeah, you're talking about guys coming from all over Scotland, England, Wales, and all for the British finals.
Does he have a place? Not that I want to talk about Eddie. Sorry, Eddie, but I don't. That's about David today.
Eddie does, yeah. Yes, yeah.
But he doesn't and I mean this in the nicest possible way, so please forgive me, Eddie. But he just looked like he was having a laugh and dancing and carrying on.
Eddie will tell you the same. He's there to have fun. That's for him. It's a day out.
But how does that rate when it comes down to? We've talked about with Kenny before, and we've talked about here how the judges mark you with less points equals better, which still confuses me. How does he then? Granted, there's only one person in his category, i.e., him. But how does he stack up against the rest if he looks like he's been a bit of a clown?
Well, that could go maybe as here, because most of the over 60 could look like that as well. So he's pretty entertaining. So he's just entertaining. So that could maybe just go towards. I don't know what to look for in the over 60s.
Yeah.
In the British finals now, some of the over 60 guys, was it last year? I think it was last year went over and they looked far better than some of the younger guys. When you heard their ages, I sounded like, where do you come from?
I know. I will say that it was very refreshing to see not just young lads, because there was obviously a younger category, all ripped and big, muscly, and the whole V going on. That was lovely. It's very aesthetically pleasing, don't get me wrong. But it was nice to see some guys that were clearly in a massive fat loss phase, and they had done a massive body transformation. I couldn't tell what they were before because there was no program to talk about what they'd done before. But there was a couple of lads. I think there was only two, and you can see that they had been through a large body fat loss, and they were building up the muscle, but they were still a wee bit behind. But that was great. And then when you go and see the females, there's only two females in this particular show, two different categories, but one of the female, again, not your typical bodybuilder where it's all like abs pointing out. Went up there, did her pose and did her show. She had elements that were awesome and elements that you're going, right, okay, this is your first time, I get that.
Yeah.
But it definitely gave you inspiration to put up on the stage for someone who's nervous about the idea of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a couple of people I follow on Instagram. A girl called, is it Get Fit with Emma? And she's lost a crap load of weight and talks about that journey. But she did a show. And she's not like, and I'm not saying this to be mean, Emma, sorry, but she's not like the typical bodybuilder that has all the lean muscles, all the right places, no cellulite, no loose skin or anything like that. There, people who have gone through those transformations have those, but they're embracing it, showing it, and showing that it is achievable, and that in itself.
See, there's different categories.
I couldn't take my eyes off them.
There's wellness categories, and then there's like I can't remember what the categories are in for the girls for the BNBF, but there's a variety of ones. Go maybe for the perfect shape, just like your naturally toned one. And then there's the muscle categories where they'll go for the muscle shapes sort of style, more tone and definition with muscle and stuff.
Yeah.
So there is, there's a wide variety. I wouldn't anybody to get up on stage, just go for it. You're a winner no matter what. That day that comes, you win, lose, or draw, you're still the champion. You've got up on that stage.
Still nerve-wracking for anyone who hasn't done it before.
Well, the BMAF, I could say, the lights, when you're looking down, all you see is the judges. You cannot see the crowd at all.
Well, no, you can't, because you couldn't see me, and I was sitting right in the middle. Right in the
middle. Well, I suppose like my mind's focused on one thing only, so all I'm listening to is the judges.
Yeah.
That's all I hear. I can hear the crowd roaring and shouting, and when they do shout, like your adrenaline goes climbs through the roof. So it does, it's just an experience you never experience in your life. Like
talking about adrenaline, we're moving on to that point because it's a big topic. You're buzzing, you're on high on the stage, you're getting those endorphins, serotonin, all those hormones rushing everywhere, and top it off, you win, which is freaking awesome. What's your adrenaline levels like now? Like, how are you feeling? Like, are you feeling like Superman or the Incredible Hulk or what? Like, who are you?
When I'm backstage, I'm focused. I can see myself a step ahead of myself. So when I'm backstage, I'm pumping up and I'm looking around everybody else, and I'm looking and thinking, I am the king here. I am the champion. In my category, you aren't going to beat me. And you're pumping up, and your muscles is more the carbs in you feel your muscles starting to really get tight and strong, and you're standing there. Now, when I'm backstage, I'm looking around everybody thinking, yes, I am going to destroy every single one of them, but really in the back of my head is, what the hell am I doing here? Then I start to go reverse side of it.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at everybody and I'm starting picking, he's got bigger biceps than me, right? What can I do? Geez, I'm not going to beat him now. I'm like, fuck, look at his legs and all. But then as soon as my foot steps on the step to get on the stage, it's just like out there. I'm like, you ain't fucking beat me, mate. And then that's it. I'm on stage. I can see myself ahead of myself.
Yeah, like an out of body experience.
I can see when they say a quarter turn, I've done that quarter turn and I've seen what they look like and what I'm going to do to make myself look better. And my confidence will go through the roof. Like, I am the man on that stage and you're not going to beat me. That's just the way it is. Even if I don't place, I'm still like that. I'll say, right, who's the number one guy? Him. I'm going to make sure I get beside him to make sure that they see me no matter what. How do I get bigger? Maybe I'll come step forward a wee bit, right, spread my lots more, try and sort of bring it in. So there was 1 year, it was 2 years maybe back, and there was a guy competing, and with being with James, he drills you to pose all the time. And there was a man beside me, and we were doing a quarter turn, and I could hear him breathing heavily. And I was trying to say to him, I said, mate, you're getting her tight. And you could see him, like, and I was just holding my pose. And when you do a quarter turn, you know that she says side chest, any chest. Well, of course, I was there, and he was there, and he was facing me, and I was turned around and just smirked at him. I said, you're getting her tight, I can hold this all day long. And well, the camaraderie and all, the camaraderie, it is brilliant. There's not one thing, backstage, front stage, or anywhere, even in the audience, nobody will ever say bad to you. So, it's a bit of crack and a bit of banter. We're all there for everybody.
Yeah.
It's not us, when I get up the stage, I'm going to knock your shade in or whatever. It's none of that there. We're always there for everybody. So, it's just a bit of crack and banter. It's, again, you're on stage. It's.
Do you think that comes because you've got to that point, and I'm going off for questions here, but I think it's an important question. Do you think that you are all bonding, because you know how hard it's been to get to where you are, and
Oh
you're
yeah.
all at this point where you're not malnourished. That's not the right word, but you're a bit like hungry, hungry for success, hungry for competitiveness, but hungry generally for food. And you know that this is the last hurdle, and you're just delving deep to get that energy to complete.
No, it's not that there. It's more we know what we've all put ourselves through,
Mm-hmm.
and at the end of the day, no matter the results, we're all champions, and we've all put the hard work in for each other, no matter what.
And do genuinely everyone feel like that backstage, or do you get a few rotten apples?
You do get a few, I call them pricks. There's one guy last year,
I was
and
being nice about it.
he came in, and he everybody backstage, like you go backstage, like you have some crack and banter, laughs, especially with Eddie there,
Mm.
he just lights up the whole place. And there was one guy, and there was a seat, I can remember the seat, it was along the back of the wall, and he came strutting in and threw himself along the whole seat, wouldn't let nobody sit down on it, no. And as you're brought up, respect your elders. And he says, listen, move your feet and let Eddie sit down. This is my fucking seat. And we always everybody just looked at him like, and they were thinking the same thing, like, you're just Marshall. And he's grabbed his feet and swung his feet round. He says, respect your elders. He says, I need to rest up and all. And it was mad, like, so it was, have a bit of respect. And he wouldn't talk to nobody. He was just a wee word of his own. But long story short, he won his category, won the overall, and then failed the drug test. So I have no remorse for him. Like, show a bit of respect for people.
I think the concept of respect is something we're going to come across shortly in this chat, because there's something that's something we want to delve into a little bit more and give you an opportunity to put your thing across. But we've got to the show, we've got to the mindset, we've got to the point where you can visualize yourself on the stage before the events happen, but it's like you're looking at the past, if that makes sense, when you're visualizing it. What's it like when you pick up that trophy, and what's it like when you know you walk up that stage as a champion?
When you're on that stage and you're standing there, there's maybe, it's like last year, I think there was 3 in my category. So there was, and you're standing backstage. Sorry, 4. There was 4 in the category, and you're standing there, and then you just do, like, say, a pose down. So you're doing your pose down, and this is your last chance to grab a few more points or whatever, and show off your best way, or just go and have a bit of fun banter. And then when the music stops and says "step to the blue line," your adrenaline is through the roof. You are nervous, and you're thinking, "Holy crap, here we go." So then they're starting to say, right, in 4th place, and you're sitting there yourself, not me, not me, not me, not me, not me. And then they call like competitor number 5, and you're like, okay, top 3, top 3. And then it says competitor number 2, so you're right, okay, top 2. And that's when I sort of look at the hour guy and go, I've got this, I have got this. And then when they call the hour guy and you're the one standing there, you're adrenaline. It's just, I mean, it's hard to explain. It's like
Your heart's pumping out of your chest.
oh, you're rushing. You really just wanna. Sometimes I feel like my legs just wanna collapse. But you have to stand there, and then when you hear the music saying the champs here, like, it's just like, yes, I am number 1. And then you step and you take a picture, and you're looking out, and I think the lights sort of dimmed a bit, and you can see the crowd, and the crowd's cheering and stuff, and you're like, you better believe it, I am number 1. And then I've always said, like, that give me 5 years, and once I get that title, like, you ain't taking it off me. So next year it'll be the 3-peat. So, and I'll have it next year again. I have a plan to come better.
You need to dominate this category until you're no longer in this category. So,
oh well,
no offense, Big Dave, you've only got a few more years, like.
I'll keep going till later.
I know, but you got a few more years in this category, and then you get to start the next one.
Well, that's what I told. What do you call him? Who do we interview? I says, I told him, I says, like, you have 2 years, and then I'm coming over to take it over. So he's 2 years to dominate it, and then I thought, see, you might as well either.
You might want to give it up, Be a good race. It'll be a good race.
It'll be good, and we're good friends, like, Yeah. You've seen the way we banter and get on, but at the end of the day, it's a competition. At the end of the day, he ain't beating me.
You've heard it here. So after the competition this year, what did you do?
After the competition this year, went to Express Pizza.
Pizza Express.
Pizza Express. Ben, he had won a wee competition. He won a freestyle competition, got £1,000 voucher. So he brought us there, and we had a meal there.
What was that pizza like? What was that first cheesy, meaty, bready type pizza like?
It was good. It was unreal. But usually I would go on a click binge, but in the back of my head was right. What's next?
Yeah.
That was what's next, and the pizza was dog's nuts. Like I must have been like it was like real thin. You could fold it over into two, and I had calamari at the start of it, and I was like,
was your taste buds like exploding? Because like,
oh yeah,
I know this is a complete wrong analogy or even comparison, but when you hear the folks in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here,
yeah,
they don't have the seasoning, they don't have the salt and pepper, and then when
I
they go to
know.
eat the salt or drink tea, their taste bud, well, first of all, the salt can burn their mouth because they're not used to that quantity because they've been
Yeah,
absent for a couple of weeks. Did you find that some things tasted different for the worse or better?
batter, the flavors explodes. So say you're eating a bar of chocolate and you're going, oh my word, why isn't that like 3 times better?
Yeah.
So I tell lies, it wasn't the first thing I had. The first thing I got in the car was a cream egg.
A cream
Cream
egg.
egg, full cream egg, and I was like, whoa. And I could have more, but I knew we were going for something neat. And it was like that, like I think I had them
Did you
from
savor it or did you full on scoff it?
full on. So it was full into the mouth, so it was, and I was like, and I said the pizza came, and I was like, and I got chilies on mine, and the chilies were
Woo!
like triple the hotness. And I was like, holy smokes, but your flavor's double. And even see, like, your first drink of fizzy drink actually stings the back of the throat.
I would say. I would say.
But no, that was the first thing. And then I wanted ice cream. And there's a big queue for the ice cream across the road from it. So I had to wait to go down to town again. And I got, was it a big tub of Ben Jerry's? Wiped it out.
Ben and Jerry's. What flavour?
Choo caramel.
See,
Always.
we've had this conversation. I'm all about fish food fan. But yeah, well done. Like a big pizza. I think I don't even know what I had.
I could have had more stuff, but I said I don't know. It was just something different this time. Where in the back of my head, it was I need to keep myself right for the next show coming up.
Were you afraid that because you knew that you have previously binged in the past that you would binge to the point that it's harder to get because obviously you're now going to compete in different shows and we'll talk about that shortly. And you know that the timeline between them is X amount of weeks. And you know if you binge now that you would let yourself go for beyond
Well, I
what
have
you're going to allow yourself.
beyond myself. I was on nights the other week, and I wasn't more binging on like pizzas or chips and stuff like that. It was just junk food. It was just crisps and pancakes and stuff. But I know once I stop the pancake stuff like that, there it'll drop down. I'll have to put the work in. But because of like the British finance, I know the standard.
Yeah.
So I really shouldn't have. But I believe myself. Like why not? Just you can't live like that all the time.
Do you also psychologically think this is quite deep now? I haven't even asked you this question on the notes. Do you think that you binge to that degree to stick on yourself to make it easier to come off?
Well, I do it all the time. Yeah.
Okay.
There's I'll have like a drawer full of stuff, and I'll just binge and then go right. That's enough.
Then you just go cold turkey.
The last that was say I had enough now, so I'm back on my dad.
Back to what you were for the show.
Yeah.
Now, back to what you were the week of your show, or back to where you were at the start of your prep.
Near up about halfway through my prep.
Okay.
But again, that's just because it's just all bread. Once all the bloating goes away and stuff, and the water and all, it'll come out. So I'm back on my dad again. I'll ramp my cardio way up and stuff to pull myself all in. I know what has to be done. But the next couple of shows, as I say, when we'll talk about that later on, I know the standards of the next one I'm going to, so I know what I have to bring. But then after that show, there'll be no binging because I know the standards of the rest of them is just going to be that's just going. I need to do something special.
Okay. We'll come to that shortly. I'm getting quite nervous because it just makes me feel like I'm a big horse around the daily. In terms of you've had your pizza, you've had all those taste buds exploding, you're living on the high. How long does that high last for? Like how long did it last for you?
You're driving that high that the rush is the show's on a Sunday, so you're sort of still trying to sink in, that you've won and stuff like that. There, you don't really have time because the next day you could have photo shoots or you could have like you're busy talking to people and people are coming and chatting to you and stuff and interviews and stuff. So really midweek, that's when the adrenaline dump just drops, and that's where you hit an all-time low. Your body just wants to switch off, and it's just like, excuse me, I wouldn't even, for a week, I don't even go to the gym because your body's just physically burnt out. You just
Yeah.
need to rest and recover. And it's the boredom kicks in. You're like, what to do now? Okay, what to eat now? I've won this. What do I do? And that's the danger side of where you could maybe I'd say some people could even drop into depression because what they've done for 22 weeks, it was a regiment thing, and now they've, what do I do here?
Mm-hmm.
I've nothing to push forward to, especially if people didn't qualify for the British finals. That was their life to get qualified in that, and they don't. They're like, what do I do now here? Do another show or whatever, and I suppose that's where your binging comes in.
Yeah.
They'll just go, you know what, screw it. By that time, it could be too late.
Do you have like, I know obviously for you, again, we'll come to it shortly, I keep saying that, we will come to it, I promise. Um, any other projects in line to keep your mind and body active? Not necessarily from the fitness side of things, whether it be decorating, whether it be gardening, whether it be, I don't know, but is
No,
there any, no?
no.
Have you ever had that?
Garden and stuff like that there, decorating or whatever, you're still on the low. I hit an all-time low through the week, and that's where I suppose I went to the binging, because my mind was set on them finals, and when I found out, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it this year. That's when it kicked an all-time
Why did
low.
the self-doubt kick in?
When I found out, sort of, it was more or less, it says, right, I'm starting, once I finish the show, I'll start pushing forward, right? I need to figure out dates, times, get forms into work, flights, hotels, stuff. And then a few people says they'll come over with me. And then I says, right, well, here's the flights, here's the time, stuff like that. And they says, oh, sorry, I can't do it now, blah, blah, so on and so on. Probably due to family life and stuff like that. You can understand that. That's when I hit a low. I was like, this is my season, this is over. What do I do here? And then that's when I just went to the junk food. And I just sat, and I was staring at the walls thinking, that can't be my season over. It can't be. I've still more to give. Me, Mandy, and the kids, that was our thing to go over. But this year, Mandy, she had his planned stuff of her own, and I says, right, well, a few people said they would come, but due to family life stuff like that, they couldn't do it. And that's when I said in the time, say, sorry, is there anything else we can do? And I never thought of it. And then when this other opportunity came up, I was like, okay, well, what about this? And then once we were going to go down to the finals with me, they said, yes, we could do that there. It's just like a 1 day trip.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's when I had to change my head round from being down in the low to high to focus on, right, this next show, who's going to be in it, how long it's going to take me to do it, and then if holidays coming up, do I stay in prep and holidays, or do I sort of let myself go on holidays, or stay half in prep? So that's just changed my mindset completely. So
You
now,
just flex like that.
mhm. But
That's crazy.
because you're thinking about, like, say I'm not training. There's people who haven't done the BNBF doing the next show. I've been prepping 22 weeks, and they're say 11 weeks out from this next show.
Mm-hmm.
So I've let myself go within a week, so I'm behind. I could be behind 3 or 4 weeks. So now I had to switch myself on and say, right, I got to get focused here.
Do you think it's important that you do take a break between shows? Like, I know you've only got X amount of weeks for this next show, but like, do you feel that you'd be in a better place if you continued what you were doing before? Or do you need to go, do you know what? I need to enjoy the moment. I need to enjoy some downtime, and then I need to get back into it when my head's ready for this competition.
But most people not, if they're still in prep and stuff like that, they'll take maybe 1 or 2 days off. But
Okay.
the 1 or 2 days off they'll take, maybe that one day they'll have a burger or fries, stuff like that there. But I believe in myself. I know my own body, and I know what way it works. So I like taking a week off. And sometimes 2 or 3 days I'll have just whatever I want to eat, and then get myself back in it again, because you're putting your body through that much work. I've been more scared of just continuing on and maybe something damaging yourself. So
Yeah.
I let my body recover, and it gets you to reset your mind again. go out and have that meal or whatever, or have a bit of time with the family. I suppose 22 weeks, you're putting yourself in front of everybody. You
Mm.
know, if I ever going away somewhere, I have to have my meals. So my meals will go on everywhere else. Or, if they're going away, I can't go. I had put my training all first. So that's why that week I just like to do a downtime and spend time with family or something. Maybe.
And as everyone on board, they know that that's your downtime week, that everything is a family orientated goal. It's not just a case of life is normal. This is like a mini concentrated holiday.
Well, we've sort of been blessed the last 2 or 3 years where likes of Ben or Cody or Megan all have been doing sports,
Mm.
and it's been away to Port Rush or Port Stewart. So where my downtime would be watching them.
Yeah.
Last year I think it was Super Cup or something. I think Ben was in it, so that fell in place where we went away from there. So it was 2 days after my show. We were straight down to Port Rush, and it was just release time. So
Yeah.
so it was good to do that there. So yeah, it's always good to put your family first. At the end of the day, it's just a competition. It is what it is.
It is, but when it's competitions are one thing, but when you put that much effort into it and you trained and you sacrificed, it's not just a competition, it's a way of life for that period of time. But once it's done and dusted, you allow yourself to take that time
Yeah,
to switch off from
yeah,
everything and engage back with your family again,
you
engage
have to.
back in the normal family day-to-day
Yeah,
routines and enjoy that
yeah,
and appreciate it, and then it's back to focusing again.
yeah. You have to. Even in work, the ones at work, they'll say they hate it. They hate me coming up, especially the last couple of weeks, because I'll switch myself away from them all. Um, I have a wee seat in there in the
Because
car.
he's that much
Yeah,
cracking work, you say everyone
yeah.
misses him.
They call it the Buddy Dave seat. It's in the corner.
Buddy Dave seat.
The door comes out here, and the seat's there. So I go in, put my stuff in the microwave, ping my dinner, and I'll have an RV seat here, and I'll set my meals here, and I'm sitting here, and they're all just chatting away or whatever. And they'll know just to keep. The other time, Barry, he'd keep me going or whatever, but I just sit and eat my meals and stuff, and I just read through positive stuff or watch bodybuilding videos and stuff, just focusing or look at my own pictures and study and stuff. But that's my whole mindset in that there.
And how long did you keep that up for? Pre-show.
Pre-show and work. But the last couple of weeks, because your energy is that low, and sort of know just sort of let me do my own thing, and they'll see me walking about and all, and the head down, and they'll try and crack and get me laughing and stuff, but it's not working. And then that last week, that's why I'll take that last week off work, because that last week you're on low carbs and your water loading and stuff like that there, and you're eating and sleeping in the house. The only time you see me out through the front door would be going down to the gym, coming back again, or going over to Manly's. While out there, I'm just resting, eating, sleeping, don't have the energy to do anything.
So it's a very different way of life from a lot of people who don't understand it and don't have never competed it or never moved in those sort of circles don't fully get it, and they probably think that it's a waste of time in
Yeah.
terms of like you're wasting opportunities outside, you're hiding yourself away. But for you, this is something that's important to you.
Well, the reason I do it is because I don't want no negativity around me.
That's absolutely
You
fine.
have to have positive around you. If you have
You
any
don't always get
negative
positive,
around you,
sadly.
you're going to have doubts. So it's just my own thing is I like just to stare to the road and just have like some Andy and the kids around me, because I feel better. I feel comfortable around them. That's my safety net.
Yeah.
So it is there around me, and I mightn't say much. I would sit and just watch them. Just sport about. I come up, watch Cody play games or whatever and stuff like that there, and just Ben maybe do his freestyle, Megan go watch a football, and me and Manny just watch films and stuff. Very sometimes I wouldn't say much, but they sort of know, so they do, and they'll try and cheer you up and get a bit of a laugh. But that's my positivity.
Yeah.
Anything outside that there, I don't want to know.
That's
You know.
absolutely fine. Like I think even in business and stuff and entrepreneurship and mindset and stuff, it's always talking about surround yourself with the people that will support you, the people
Mhm.
that will lift you up, and the people that will bring positivity in different ways that you won't get from
Yeah.
Joe Blogs down the road. And there's not a problem at all about letting go of certain circles of friends. Or it's not that you don't love them, it's not that you don't respect them, it's not that you don't like them. It's just for that period of time you need to concentrate on what you're
Oh,
concentrating
yeah.
on. And you don't need to be justifying it. You don't need to be defending it. You just need
No.
to get on with it. And if you've got people in work who respect you enough to let you have that time, then fair friggin' play it, because there's not many people that would get that.
See, my work, like, see, in there, I'm not joking, like, it's a big family. Like, they have your back 100%. So they have, no matter what you do, even if it's football or anything at all, even if your kids, like, they have your back 100%. And the support you get from them is amazing, and can be as well. There's days I went to the gym and I couldn't be asked training. Next thing I can be coming with a coffee, and we'd just sit down and chat away, and then all of a sudden I said, right, I'm ready to do training now. And he was like, caffeine's kicking
I think you need that break. Like today, I
Yeah.
met up with one of my old friends from uni. She's actually the godmother of two of my kids, and we talked about how there's just a lot of noise going on, and it's hard to get the motivation to sit down and do the work that you know needs to be doing, like the hard tasks. We've talked about that recently on one of our podcasts. You'll hear about that soon. And taking that time out and just chatting and drinking. She drinking tea, me
Yeah.
drinking the caffeine, the second cup. She went back and she just texted me and says, "It's really good to meet up with you. I've come back. I feel motivated." Not that I said anything motivating, by the way. I just waffled about my boring life. And she got her sermon done for the Sunday, because she's a officer in the Salvation Army. If I said that right, great. If I haven't, I'm really sorry. And because I'll get it wrong. So she's a wedding coming up. She has her dissertation to put in. She's also doing a degree part-time, distant learning. Don't know how she fits it all in. And she's also just preparing other stuff, and she's going away on holidays as well. So the fact that she was able to go home and do stuff like that was good. So the point I'm trying to make is sometimes you take a step back, take a little bit of a time out, and then get back into it. And that's exactly what you're telling me Canby does for you.
Well, the Canby, it's he be like a father figure. So he is.
He ain't that much older. He went like that.
No, he knows that there. Like the stuff that like I went down and talked about and stuff, and then I have Liam, and I have walked out of that place where he could have rang his t-shirt out with show pride on his shoulder that much, and he's like a big brother to me. If I have any problems at all, I pick up the phone, Liam.
Is this Liam from Lean Supper Club?
We have a coffee and stuff. He's always there. Like a week, before I decide what to do, it was Liam. I phoned him up, and even though if we don't get talking, because he's busy, he'll leave voicemails or messages stuff like that there, and he'd get back and he'd recommend what to do, this or do this and all, and that's when I made the decision to do this other thing. Yeah.
So without further ado, Davey, what is this other thing?
I'm going to go down on the 24th of September to Dublin. Don't know where the show's held, the NBFI, to compete in the Masters to try and get into the Ireland team.
And how many people are in the Ireland team? Like, how many people do you have to beat, and how many people are going to be picked?
In the Ireland team, it'll be the different, like your teams, your Masters, your heavyweights, your lightweights, and it could be the overall. I'm not quite sure what way it works, but I know it's different categories get picked.
Is it one from each category picked to represent, or is there a couple?
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping that's why I'm going to bring the best package there is, because I'm coming from the north to go down south.
Yeah.
To compete, to go Ireland, and to me, to represent Ireland and Northern Ireland and Germany in the Worlds would be amazing. And then from the Worlds to the natural Mr. Olympia in Vegas.
So these are all stepping stones. So you got your BNBF, which ordinarily would have went on to competition when and where?
It's the 24th September in Coventry.
In Coventry, but you're elected to British finals. And what's the next stage after that?
That's the European finals, and then the Worlds in Australia. But you have to pay your way.
And what's the difference between this competition? If you get picked for round, you get sponsorship?
So yes, I think like they'll pay, like it works out to maybe have to pay half of it or something like that there. But it's not the fact that it's the paying of the whole thing. It's to get into the Olympia. Because if you get to the Olympia, that's the pinnacle. That's like the World Cup of football. Olympia is like you're going up against the world's best.
Oh yeah. I follow some people on Instagram that have done former Mr.
That's what's drawn me to the whole thing, to get picked to represent Ireland, and also, our own wee town over in Vegas in the thing. I wouldn't care.
From Lurgan County, Armagh, Northern Ireland.
And like to be up on this, I wouldn't care where a place, to be honest with you, to say that I went to the Olympia to compete. It's just I don't think you could ever beat that.
So you've got your competition in September 24th, everyone, people in your diary, in Dublin.
Yeah.
That's a full day competing, and you're going to walk away with a crown. Next stage after that there is to go over to Germany.
I think it's Germany now. I'm sort of hoping that, I don't know if you have to compete in there. I'm not quite sure. And if you don't, I would skip that out and
Go
see
straight to
if I can
Olympia.
get straight to Olympia. That's the one I want.
What date are the Germany
I think
competition and the Las Vegas
I
competition?
think Germany is November, and I think the Olympia is in October.
November and October. You mean October, November?
Yeah. Sorry, yeah.
So they're quite close together.
Quite close together, yeah. So
which is a good thing, because that means you're not putting your body through additional stress for 16 odd weeks after.
So you basically you wouldn't need to, where you usually binge out. You just continue on.
Just continue on. But maybe add in, just to give yourself a day or two's rest, like you were saying earlier on. No. Okay.
Because you're doing the worlds, and you're going against the world's best in Europe and all over.
And do you stalk these people? Do you do the lane?
I'll have a look, yes, see who it is. But I've an idea. I'll follow the NBFA, and I'll follow all the European NBFAs, and I'll study the masters who's got into their classes, who I'm going up against, and so that's why I'll not rest. But the Olympia, like, you have to be the best. There'll be no rest, no nothing. I think I'll have to push my body beyond its limits that it's ever went, and then I would say, if I do get over there, I think I'll just take a year out, and I'll just rest and recover, because I know if I go over there, how far I'm going to have to willing to push myself to just go beyond and above. It's going to be mental. That's the challenge I love. That's I want to see. Like, you're chasing the perfect body. You're just chasing all the time the perfect package, and I think if I get there, that you're going to see the best that I'll ever bring to the stage.
Are you going to be in around the same as you were in the BNBF there recently? Lighter?
I think I'll have to drop my body fat lower.
Just for anyone who realizes, Davey was lighter than I currently am now, and I'm not exactly light, but he's lighter than me.
On the day on that stage, I was 10 stone.
Have you ever known of anyone from Northern Ireland competing? Now, this is on your own research and stuff, competing in Mr. Olympia.
The natural Mr. Olympia,
Yeah.
no, but the Olympia, the main big Olympia, yeah, there's actually quite a few girls that went over and placed third in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It is, but natural, no, not from Lurgan.
Not yet.
Not from Lurgan. There's nobody even from Lurgan I know of that went and competed over in America, a natural bodybuilding show, bar myself. And
It's wild.
I placed second and third in it. And I could have got my pro card, but I missed it at 1 point. So,
Did you go pro?
11 nights ago. I get an opportunity to.
Yeah, I'm sitting here with a legend here, people. I'm sitting here with a legend. Dave, we're going back to the show. We're going back to the show you did on the 25th. And the reason we're going back to it is because you've done an article recently in the Belfast Live. Belfast Live reached out to you. Check it out on their website. You can check his article. Covered a lot of stuff that we covered today, but not as much detail. And we've got a lot of comments on your attire.
Yeah.
Now, I have seen a lot of skinny pants, mostly on women, because that's where we wear thongs and stuff. I don't like it. But Davey decided that he would wear his show pants. Now, not black, not gold, not blue, not green, but bright cerise pink. Why?
The pink, the reason it came to the pink was I was sitting one night, and Megan and Ben and Cody were sitting, and they said, "Could we pick your posing trunks?" And I says, "You know what, go for it." They originally went for a fluorescent green.
Were they doing this to genuinely help you or take the piss out of you?
No, they probably wanted for both, really. They probably thought I wouldn't do it. So then, they probably thought we'll pick a wacky colour here. Was it, we'll not do it. So they said pink. So then I contacted my sponsor, and I says, "I'm posing trunks this year. I want like a luminous pink." And she sent me a picture, and I said, "They'll do right, like." And I didn't tell the Evans that I had the pink ones till the day of the show, and then that's when I wore out, walked out with the pink on.
Ladies, it was strategic, and it was come from a place of,
And the music was Mandy's favorite song.
oh,
So,
bless. It's all lovely. It's all by family oriented. So going back to the article itself, now I read through the article and I was like, I'm very proud of you, mate. That's great.
yeah.
Well done. And you're like going, did you read the comments? I don't waste time on comments too much. And now that you've pointed it out to me, I've read them. Now, people, I have to point out that some of you are just not very nice. Some of you are just mean. It's about this guy putting himself through dedication, commitment, discipline, putting himself through the ringer to win a competition. So for that and that alone, you should be giving him praise, not slagging. So please do not do it again. And as for anybody else who says that this guy's not 100% natural, I'm going to slap you around the head. I'm not a big person on violence, but I will slap you around the head because he is 100% natural.
You just gotta laugh at them, you know. It's like I said one of the comments, I'll do a drug test anytime you want.
Yeah, and the guy came back and said, I'm not going to give any of these people airtime by sharing their names. But I will say that it's easier to say things from behind a keyboard than actually stand out and congratulate somebody for doing something that's awesome. It's hard work, and try it yourself. Maybe you'll have a different point of view.
Haters be haters, keyboard warriors. At the end of the day, you get that no matter what sport.
It doesn't matter what sport. If you put yourself out there, you're running the risk of having somebody troll you, and that's probably one of the reasons why I stayed away from the idea of social media and podcasting and stuff for as long as I did, because it's been within me to do it for a while. And now that I'm getting a bit older, I give less of a hoot. Less of a hoot. Not completely none. Just less of what people think. So yeah. Please keep your comments to yourself. If you can't say something kind, don't say something at all.
At the end of the day, you're doing something right if they have to come on their wee petty lives, come on and pick at somebody else. They're not happy with theirs. So
they're not.
What they do, they hang. Like I said, like anybody who's seen that there, go on, read the comments and look at their profiles, who's commenting. You know.
Yeah, thank you for people who did say something nice. It was very nice to see that there's an appreciation, understanding, and respect being the big key word there.
As I say, to me that fuels me even more. That just they keep going and going and going. You know, they're just sad, pathetic little people. You know, keyboard warriors who have never done nothing in their lives. You know, and to me it's just fuel for the fire. You know, at the end of the day, some of them
comment. You're giving them too much credit.
They're turning around and saying, you know, blah blah, she done this because of bullying and stuff like that. There, well, what are they doing? Exact same thing on online, but at the end of the day, it's just fuel to the fire. And if you see in the comments, I commented back, it doesn't bother me one bit.
Bothers me. Nah. I don't like mean people.
You know, just brush it away.
You're a bigger man than I am. Although I haven't responded to, but I want to respond to.
People comment stuff like that there.
Okay. Well, Davey, as we do with every guest that we have on the show, we ask them for 3 bits of advice. So would you like to share 3 bits of advice about anyone who's thinking about competing in natural bodybuilding and what they should do, whether it be the training, the nutrition, whatever. We've talked about this before in episode number 1. But now that you've gone through it and you're at the other side of a competition, your mindset may have changed and you may want to add something slightly different, or maybe the same advice. You tell me.
No, my advice would be do a lot of research first. Look into it. Get help. Go and speak to people. Even like myself or anybody who's competed before, talk to them, get a good chat about the whole thing, because you're going to put yourself within 22 weeks. You're going to put yourself through something you've never put yourself through before, and it could affect your family life. So you need advice and guidance for that. There, you know. That's one thing I've always said. Even in prep, yes, I do put myself away and I turn myself into a monk and put myself in. But at the end of the day, I'll still put my family first. You know, I wouldn't never do that there. But you know, advice would be if you have a passion for it, go for it. But get advice. And after a show, just prepare for that adrenaline dump. And it's hard. Be around friends and stuff like that there. Have a goal, have a mindset, what you want to do afterwards, so you don't fall backwards again.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it's not just for shows, you know, it's just for the better yourself. Go for it. Have a good coach. Make sure you have a coach that knows what he's doing. Again, like even like Stephen we had on tonight, if you're around the Poor Down area, get a chat with Stephen. He's been on stage and all, and he'll tell you as it is. James, loads of guys, even myself. You want to chat to me and all, but don't hold back. Go for it. Even if it's an amateur show, the NIFMA show, stuff like that. There, go down, check them out, watch them. But my advice would be, if you have a passion for it, go for it. Don't let anybody hold you back, and do a lot of research first. The research is the most important.
What I will say in the research part, do not let that take over to the point where you procrastinate and hold back on doing something. Set aside time for it and continue working towards that goal. If you decide not to go ahead with it because at that moment in time you're not feeling confident about it, or you haven't put the work in, then that's fair enough. But don't let the research hold you back from the action that needs to take you to the show.
No, that's I said. Like the research would be just look. Basically, it'd be look into what you're putting yourself into, your training, your diet, your health, your lifestyle, and so on. Don't let that affect you. Another good bit of advice would be, if you have friends, why not two do it, and have a bit of camaraderie between each other and do it that way. I've always said to myself, I'd love to have somebody to go up against, two friends competing. Like, if you're in two different categories, how cool would that be? Get into like an overall and two is battling it out. If you is in the gym, why did you go for it? That'd be good advice.
So, Davey, as always, thank you so much for your time. It was lovely not to be looking at the screen and going, but being the person who gets to present. Yay!
Next time it's going to be you getting presented. What your mindset is? Was this? I think this is going to be good because you've never done a show before.
Never done a show before.
It's going to be interesting to see what your